Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today is all for the gluten-free folks. A lot of times I'm out and about, or I'm even at home, and I long for a gluten-free treat that isn't from a store and costs way too much money. So oftentimes I'll find a recipe and think, okay, can I make this gluten-free? And when I do and it's a success, you get to see the adventure. So this is a French madeleine. So when I found this French madeleine recipe, I was intrigued because I really love madeleines. They're like little pieces of cake in a cookie form, and you can take them to go, and they're soft and they're delicious. And I really wanted to make it gluten-free. So with just a little fiddling around, I've made one gluten-free, and you cannot tell the difference. Breaking into them, they are almost identical and they are delicious. So are you ready for this adventure, you gluten-free folks? And for those of you who aren't gluten-free, I'll have all the ingredients and the measurements in the info of this video so that either of you, gluten-free or the non-gluten-free, can make this delicious French madeleine. Are you ready to go? Let's get to this adventure. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to brown our butter. If you have never browned butter before for a recipe, it is super easy. So we have a heavy bottomed pot, and we're going to get our burner on to medium. Sorry about the rattle of the pan. It just is what it is. I'm not sure why the pans rattle on this burner, but if anybody knows why or has a suggestion for me, let me know. Okay, so into this pan, we are gonna add 1 whole stick of butter cut into pieces. And we are just going to stir this until it is completely melted and it turns into brown butter. And this could take anywhere from 5 minutes to about 10 minutes. As soon as you see brown flecks of sand starting to form on the bottom of your pan, that's when you know that your brown butter is done. And as you can see, we are already starting to get some brown butter. So I'm gonna let it go for another 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna call that done. And see how the foam went away? That's how you know that it's about done. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off and see all that beautiful brown butter. That's exactly what we want. And into a bowl, we are gonna pour all of this brown butter along with all of the stuff that looks like sand. Do you see that in there? That is all the browned solids of the butter. We definitely want all of that. And to this hot butter, we are gonna add our vanilla. See it bubbling? Perfect. And our finely grated lemon zest. Usually it doesn't do that. I think maybe it was way too hot, so maybe give it an extra second. All right, so I'm gonna venture to guess that you should let it cool just a little bit before you add the vanilla and the lemon peel. Otherwise, it may bubble over. I've never made it before. Maybe I haven't, since I haven't never recorded it, I haven't done it quite that fast before, because this one I made about an hour ago did not do that. But I wasn't recording, I was doing other stuff. So definitely let your butter cool a little bit and then drop it into your container. And then you need to let it cool completely, which is why I made it earlier, so that we could just go on with the recipe right now. So this is our brown butter that has been cooling. It's completely cool to the touch. And now we're going to mix together our flour. Here I have some Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour. This is different than the Bob's Red Mill all-purpose flour. This has the addition of xanthan gum. If your 1-to-1 baking flour doesn't have xanthan gum, definitely add it in. It does give more of that gluten type texture. So if you don't use a 1-to-1 baking flour with xanthan, or you don't use xanthan, I can't really tell you how it's going to turn out because I've never done it before. So we're going to add salt and baking powder, and we're just going to give that a little mix. And we're going to set that aside. You're going to also need the Madeleine pans. I picked these up on Amazon for very cheap. So definitely, if you're gonna make madeleines, get yourself a good set of pans. I suggest getting the non-stick kind because then it will help them to not stick, because when they stick, then they're not madeleines, they're just pieces and bits of cake. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's move to our mixer. All right, so into the bowl of our stand mixer is gonna go 4 eggs. Now, the original recipe wanted you to use room temperature eggs. I have used room temperature and fridge cold eggs, and I have not noticed a difference. So the recipe says room temperature, but if you forget to take your eggs out, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. All right, so we're gonna get this going, and we're gonna froth it, all of these eggs, for about 2 minutes. All right, go ahead and turn off the mixer. And we're gonna lower the bowl so that we can put the sugar in just at the bottom. And then we're gonna raise the bowl again, or just, put your sugar in at the bottom. And now start it on the lowest setting possible. And we're just gonna let the lowest setting incorporate that sugar just for a moment so it doesn't fling up on the side of the bowls. And once you see that sugar kind of disappear, now we're gonna turn it up to medium high. Now we're gonna leave it on medium high for about 2 more minutes, or until we start to see it just change color. This will go from that honey yellow to almost like a pale whitish yellow, like a creamy yellow. You'll see it's really awesome. And if you see any sugar anywhere in the bowl, definitely stop your mixer and scrape down the sides. But I have noticed that when I add that sugar in at the bottom and then slowly incorporate it, I don't have to scrape it anymore. And I'm all about time saving. Okay, so do you see how it kind of turned a lot lighter? Now the magic really happens. We're gonna turn it on high and let this thing whip for 4 minutes. And then we're gonna see it turn into this really, really light mixture. You ready? Okay, we'll see you back here in 4 minutes. And after 4 minutes, your mixture should be super light and super fluffy. Let me show you the texture of it. Do you see that kind of fluffy white texture? Almost looks like runny pudding before it has set. So now what we're going to do is we are going to slowly fold in our dry ingredients. So I'm gonna fold them in about 1/4 at a time. And be careful not to overmix. Only mix enough so that you see that no dry ingredients remain. All right, next we are gonna add the brown butter. Now this is the brown butter I made about an hour ago. So it is nice and cool. You definitely don't wanna add hot butter into here because it will start cooking those eggs, and that is not what we want. So I'm just gonna add my brown butter right into the center, and I can add it all at the same time. You also want to get all of the brown butter solids that are at the bottom of your glass or your container, because those little bits are delicious. And basically, we're just gonna fold again until it is folded all the way through, and it should take about 30 seconds. So now it's important that we scrape down the bowl and get all of the mixture down into itself, because we're gonna wanna put this in the refrigerator for 30 to 60 minutes. There are some recipes that say that you're supposed to leave it for hours and hours in the refrigerator, but I have found that I get the same texture regardless of if I wait 30 to 60 minutes as to when I wait for 2 days. If you were to put this in the oven right now, it would not rise correctly. So it does need the rest time. So make sure you do get it into the refrigerator for its rest time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scrape off my scraper right here, and I'm gonna get a lid on it and put it in the refrigerator, and I'll be back to show you how to fill the wells, cook them, and the results. We'll be back. Okay, it has been an hour, and we are going to get the oven preheated to 350 before you take it out of the refrigerator. I've already done that, so let's get our batter out of the refrigerator. All right, and you can't tell the texture of this quite yet, because as soon as I dip into it, I'll show you the texture. But first, let's get our Madeleine pans ready to go. So So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna take some melted butter and paint the wells of all of these. And yes, they are non-stick, but you still want to paint them. There we go. Now, some recipes say to sprinkle flour over the top as well. That's overkill. I've never had them stick after I put butter in them, but you do you. If you've made them before but not gluten-free and really feel like that needs that extra flour, then go ahead and do it. All right, so now I have the small scoop from Pampered Chef, and I am gonna put about a tablespoon of batter in each. Now, this is a little bit more than a tablespoon, so I'm not gonna fill it up quite as full as maybe you would if you were doing a cookie. So I'm gonna reach inside this batter and then I'm gonna show you, see how the batter has bubbles of air in it? That is exactly what you want. And do not mix your batter. Dip your madeleines out and put them right in, and do it as carefully as possible without disturbing the batter in any way. And don't spread it out, just leave it right where it is. There we go, and this Madeleine recipe makes about 36. So because I only have 2 pans, I'm only gonna do 2 at a time. But I have a little variation for you that we have found to be so much fun. Sometimes people dip Madeleines in chocolate, but we found that if you stick some berries in them, the berries kind of melt into the Madeleine and make a really fun treat. So with about half of these, I will push berries into them. And I found the biggest blueberries in my little cloche, and I am going to just stick them right in the center of my Madeleine. And then the same with some raspberries. So I'm just going to push the raspberries right down in the centers. And the Madeleine will actually cook up and around it. It's fascinating. All right, we're gonna get these into a preheated oven for 10 to 12 minutes, depending on your oven. And I will be back to show you the results and eat them, of course, because they're amazing and I can't wait. All right, we'll be back. It has been 12 minutes and those Madeleines are ready. And here is the one with the berries. So as you can see, my raspberries were way bigger than my blueberries, but the blueberries, they hid themselves inside the Madeleines, and this one was a little small, so it has hidden itself as well. So we're gonna let these cool for 5 minutes, then I'll pop them out and I will be back to show you the difference between gluten-free Madeleines and wheat Madeleines. We'll be back. Okay, here we are, and just by the glance, there is no way that you can tell which one is gluten-free and which one is not, other than the fact that one of them, this one, I left in the oven an extra minute on accident. That's my bad. Nothing with the batter or whatever. So one is gluten-free and one is not. I'm not going to tell you which is which until after I break them open for you to see. So as you can see, these ones here are the raspberry. So the raspberry shows through really well on the back, but on the front, they have this really cute little button. And then these ones are the blueberry. Again, they show through on the back, but they don't show through on the front. Interesting, right? So let me show you the difference in texture. So here we have, we'll call it A. So let's break into it so you can see the texture. Okay, so this is A, and I'll set it down here. And then we'll do a similar size for B. And there is the texture of B. So let me get close so you can see. All right, so here is A, and here is B. Can you see any difference? If you are an honest person, you would say, I see no difference. And it's true. There is no difference. So this one, light, fluffy, airy. There's a crunchy bit on the outside. You can taste the lemon and the vanilla and that butter flavor. It's so good. And then on this side, again, we have light, airy, crunchy, buttery vanilla, lemon. You guys, this Madeleine recipe, both gluten-free and non-gluten-free, is amazing. Amazing. So, if you are a gluten-free person and you have been looking for a cookie or something decadent or something new, try this Madeleine recipe. If you're not gluten-free, try this Madeleine recipe. Just don't leave them in for an extra minute, because this is an amazing cookie recipe, and they are as French as an American can be, because I'm an American, I'm not French, but that's okay. And I thought I would show you what it looks like in the middle of the raspberry and blueberry ones. Look at that beautiful color in there. So that's the raspberry one, and that was gluten-free. And then this is the blueberry one. Oop, I didn't break that one very well, but you can see it in there. It totally makes the berry just soft and part of the cookie. It's amazing. The other thing I wanted to show you, hold on. You will know when your Madeleines are done when they have a nice pregnant little belly. Can you see the pregnant belly over the top of all these? This is the last batch to come out, and I thought I would leave them in the pan so that you could see what they look like when they were done. And then they literally just pop out just like that. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Not overcooked like this one. It was a minute, like just 1 minute, and it turned much darker. It's still delicious, but amazing Madeleines. And it was really easy. The hardest part of this recipe is really being patient so they can rest in the refrigerator and cure or get those bubbles or whatever it is that they call that. I don't know. But this is an amazing recipe. You should try it. All right, you guys, well, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I want to give a shout out to Tracy Summer and her boyfriend and her little Ezra. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Tonight, I was having a conversation with her, and she was super excited about seeing this recipe. And so, girl, I can't wait to see if you try it. All right, you guys, well, if you have any ideas for me for future adventures, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll make up my own, have some Madeleines, and totally enjoy it. Gluten-free. I'm eating this one. All right, you guys. Well, we will see you on the next adventure. Bye.